Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am going into a major baseball weekend. I'm going to do some traveling today, but never fear. I will be making videos from my hotel room, so don't you worry. All right, now, last night I put out the Miguel Valles video where I was in, myself and Mr. B and Brad Combs were in this Link to investor conference. And I was tired too because they're on Pacific time. They're out in California, and I was up late last night in the thing, and I got a chance to talk to Miguel Valles. He's a very nice, humble, quiet guy is my impression. Very nice guy. And I told him I felt like I already knew him. I've talked to him about him, so I'm sure that he's painfully aware of how many times that I've covered him and played videos of him and that kind of thing. But he was a very nice guy, and a lot of Joe Endoso from Link2 and the guys that were on there, a couple of Australian guys who were very nice to me, by the way, very nice guys. They said some kind things. But they asked a lot of really good questions. They didn't get much time with Miguel, but they asked some good questions. I'm going to show a few of the things he said to you again, because I don't think they can be seen too many times. But first, I wanted to mention to you that what Link2 is doing is they're a platform. They're making private investing simple, pre-IPO private investing. They're packaging shares of stocks into what they call SPVs. They just put Uphold, and by the way, they're selling out of all of these things as fast as they can put them up, which I think is because everybody knows where all this is going. But they just put Uphold on there. I know they sold out at least a few times with that. Coinbase, I think they said they had sold out of Ripple. I know they sold out of Ripple several times, and I think they keep selling out. I haven't heard about Robinhood. Link2, their shares are on there as well. Blockchain co-investors. Now, another interesting thing in the conference yesterday, they were asking for what people would want, what shares people would like to have on Link2. And the number one answer was Polysign. So Polysign is one, and I'm going to talk to these guys and say, look, Polysign's the way to go. I know the people listening to me would like to find that out. So Polysign, and here's the other. And I suggested this to them actually this morning. I sent these guys an email, and that is R3. How would you like to be able to get your hands on some R3 shares? Well, I happen to be looking around and I found this a recent video from May with David Rudder, the CEO of R3, and I just found an interesting clip, so it came to my mind. Well, let me see if these guys can get a hold of some R3 shares. I know that some of us would like to get a hold of those. But anyway, here's a clip from David Rudder speaking of R3 that I thought was interesting.
Support payments go to the kids in the way that they're supposed to support schooling and all this sort of stuff. This is all very much in our power. It exists. The technology for this exists today. So I really believe, and this actually might be led by China and then ultimately driven by Western countries that are, again, have FOMO, that are worried about missing out. But, I moved to Europe. I haven't seen a check for years. Americans still write them. But, we kind of tap everywhere, as you know, Jamie, for everything we do. So, taking the next step towards central bank digital currencies and programmable money, I think is just a no-brainer, and we're going to see that. And then the other thing I'll say is that I don't, especially given my background, because we've talked about this, I don't underestimate how big a step this is in some ways. So when you think about central bank digital currencies that are retail oriented, like the Riksbank in Sweden is considering, there's all sorts of monetary policy issues that you really have to think through. That being said, to have programmable money for specific cases, or to have central bank digital currencies for institutional commerce, so that we can achieve atomic settlement on Corda and on other blockchains, makes a tremendous amount of sense to me.
David.
couple other things that he said in this. There's a section where he mentioned that he's been working with Bank of America from the early days, and he talked about how they weren't even allowed to even say Bitcoin for a while. And another thing he says in this interview is that that R3 is working with many central banks and governments right now. And you know who R3 also works with? That would be Ripple. And they also have on their core to settler platform XRP, the greatest digital asset ever created. There are no coincidences, folks. But anyway, this guy would be an interesting guy to, if R3 SPVs were available on Link2, that would be huge. I will keep you updated on that. Now, speaking of IPO, Steve Gulbranson sent me this, a tweet from CryptoWell. Breaking, Coinbase has initiated preparations for a stock market listing that could come as early as this year. This would make it the first major U.S. cryptocurrency exchange to go public. Now, remember, when Brad Garlinghouse mentioned a Ripple IPO, he said that they would not be the first. He said they wouldn't be the last either. And he acted like it was within 1 year. So I've always thought that the first would be either a Coinbase or a Circle or someone like that. And so this would make sense. Now, this is not, there's no article to go with this or anything. I don't know. This person could just be saying this. I don't know. But this came out of nowhere and I found it interesting. So I was going to show it to you. Now, the market, XRP briefly, we got this from Anders Lundberg. The market briefly came back and the market briefly came back and XRP took the spot back from Tether of the third spot. And so, and market's looks like it's doing a little bit of a pullback. Let's see if it's a little or a lot now. No, it's going back up now. So right now, XRP is at 20. It crossed the 21 cent mark this morning when I was watching. But let's look at what things have done over the last 7 days. 7 days, let's see how we've done. XRP's up 17.22% over 7 days. Cardano, 28.5%. Let's see who else has had a good. Chainlink, 25. Stellar, 32% in 7 days. Look at the big one. VeChain, 87%. 143% in 30 days, folks. 427% in 1 quarter. Now, let me tell you what, folks. Anybody who's telling you that crypto is not going to have another boom the way it did, that is bunk. That's proven wrong right here in front of you. Have you seen anything like this in the stock market lately? I don't think so. And remember, we've only got here it shows 280 billion in this entire market. This market this market is like a tiny, tiny baby that has just been born. This isn't even the beginning of the beginning yet, folks. Anybody who said that, those are some of the crazy things that every once in a while I'll hear somebody say, oh, well, we're not going to have the kind of booms we used to have. Well, guess what? We had major booms when there was nothing in this market. And now there is something now there's a real infrastructure that it has been put in place over the last 2 years. Now's the time to get excited, not the time to be depressed. All right. Okay. From XRP Crypto Wolf, Ripple's ODL partner, Bitso, which is one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges in Latin America, has topped Mexico and Argentina's crypto market in just 6 months after it launched and also hit 1 million users prior to its upcoming launch in Brazil. And then there's this. This is a guy, I saw this going around this morning. This is a guy, Will Mead, who runs a hedge fund. He was at Goldman Sachs. He runs a 1.4 billion hedge fund. He's got 80,000 followers. He says this: I made my first crypto purchase ever this week. XRP Ripple, I know very little about crypto, but I believe a rising tide lifts all boats. So if Bitcoin goes back to its all-time highs, then XRP should as well. And that would be a 15-bagger, 1,500%. No, my friend, it would be a lot more than that. Get ready, folks. You can see, when you see people like this coming in, just strap in, folks. They know. And then this from Miguel Valles, I'll show it. It's never going to hurt you to see more of these again. Here's what he said.
The $1 million question is, what do you think the upside of XRP is in the short, medium, and long term? And what do you think will? What estimate would you have on the price on the IPO of Ripple?
Yeah, I mean,
be specific.
Yeah, no. And just because I'm not with Ripple doesn't mean I can say a bunch of stuff. I've signed many documents.
We won't tell anyone what you said.
No, of course not. Get out. Look, what I would say is, I will say this: I am incredibly bullish crypto broadly, and then within crypto, I think you would have to be foolish not to recognize the potential of XRP, especially all of the progress that Ripple has made.
You would have to be foolish not to recognize the potential of XRP. Remember, folks, this isn't some jackleg. This guy's an Ivy Leaguer. This guy, I believe, he's got I think it was an engineering degree from Miami. Then he goes, I think he's got a Yale degree. I want to say either New York University or Columbia. Don't quote me because I can't remember off the top of my mind. But he has 2 or 3 Ivy League degrees, folks. And he was at the CME group, ran the gold desk, folks. This is not some schlub. This is a guy who has responsibilities and knows that he can only say certain things. He's a measured guy, and he's very smart. He knows what's coming. All right, and then there was this.
I follow Ripple's progress. I just wanted to know why you saw a need to move on. Did you complete everything you did at Ripple and felt as though you'd done your job and had to have another crack at something?
Yeah, look, I think I really, really enjoyed probably those first 18 months, right? The helter-skelter nature of getting something from 0 to 1. And if I'm being honest, the more structured 1 to 100 wasn't quite as enjoyable. So I think that was one factor. It did become a little bit wash, rinse, repeat in terms of, right, we'd set the playbook up and now we kind of execute on that playbook. That was probably one. I think the other thing is, we had staffed when we brought in Brienne. I made myself somewhat redundant with respect to some of the markets pieces. That left, again, the XRapid part, which was maturing. So I think that made me think, well, life is short. I have a lot of things going on in my personal life, certainly. And the company may be just fine without me at this point. And I think, we all have big egos and we all think we're completely irreplaceable. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes, you have to let the kids go. Right? And not that Ripple was my baby. That's not what I'm saying. But yeah, just the timing was right. And I'm incredibly proud of the work that company has done and does. I think it is some of the best amalgam of talent I have ever seen. I think Brad has built an incredible company.
All right, so there's another great clip, and then here's another one.
It certainly is better.
Yeah. So when you left Ripple, were you satisfied at the adoption that you were seeing for both the XRapid product as well as for XRP?
I mean, look, when I left, if I compare where we were when I started to when I left, I could be nothing but satisfied. Could you want more? Sure, you can always want more, right? But it's XRP and XRapid were the first real world institutional uses of digital currencies and distributed ledger technology. If you're not satisfied by that, I think you're just being ungrateful.
All right. And then finally, we've got, I think this is the last one.
Back to XRP, its attributes in terms of speed and cost really make it perfect for that. In terms of challenges, the biggest hump, I think, for XRapid was getting some of these companies to believe that it was possible to offer a better experience than what they were getting at the time, using this very bleeding edge technology. No one had ever done it before. So it was us promising them that it was possible and that it was something that was going to be better than what they did today, but we didn't have any proof points yet. So it took a long time to get folks kind of bought into the idea that, yeah, it could be better. And I think it's proving out now that in aspects, it certainly is better.
Yeah.
All right. I thought that he did they asked some really good questions, and I thought Miguel Valles was as upfront as he could be. I mean, the guy is obviously under NDAs. He said so. But, I mean, the guy, you can tell he's a little uncomfortable being asked anything, and I would be too if I was under a bunch of NDAs. But he was a nice guy, and I hope that we can get another bite at the apple and talk to him again. Naveen Gupta tweeted this out, was it today? Yeah. In a world where digital payments continue to surge, Ripple is proud to join the Open Payments Coalition to launch PayID with the aim of changing the way money is sent around the world. Thanks for the wonderful interaction. And he's tweeting to these guys, James DeBiasio of the Digifin group. Let me follow them. They must be somebody. We'll see what comes of that. I'm not sure what all their deal is. Okay, Michelle Vandenberg sent me a few things. First, this. SCB Ripple organizes money transfers overseas with SCB Easy. SCB and Ripple, a provider of payment money transfer solutions, organized an international money transfer promotion via SCB Easy for only $1.99 baht, is that how you say that, per transaction, meeting the needs of customers covering 4 major currencies, US dollar, euros, Singapore dollars, and in 12 countries, including the US, So they've got some kind of thing they're working out. It says, with blockchain technology through RippleNet, helps customers to be more convenient. A lot of this stuff is lost in translation here when you get into any of these kinds of articles. Okay. And then Michelle Vandenberg also sent me this. A third of U.S. renters have low confidence in their ability to pay next month's rent, according to a U.S. Census Bureau survey. That is creepy because I read the same thing this week, that 30% of people did not pay their mortgage in the United States. This is going to get ugly, folks. Makes you wonder. I was on the phone with my dad this morning, and he was asking me he's the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel. And he was asking me what I thought about it. I told him about this piece of news. Actually, I said that about this, how 30%, a third basically of renters say that they're not going to be able to pay next month's rent. Well, my dad says, well, how is the stock market going up? And I said, well, here's the way I understand it. Now think about this, folks. I said, Dad, imagine that you have $100 in your pocket, and I tell you, well, in 30 days, those $100 are going to be worthless. Well, what would you do with those $100? You would go put them in something that you knew is going to be worth something. What the U.S. government is doing right now is they are going and they're buying good assets with those U.S. dollars that they're in the midst of destroying the value of, or it's been destroyed over the course of 50 plus years. But they're going and they're buying everything from stocks to bonds, to whether it's corporate bonds, you name it. They're buying everything, and I believe they're buying things they think are going to be worth something when the dollars are not worth anything. So, all right, and I want to finish with this because Ripple is continuing their theme. They tweeted this out yesterday. This is a David Schwartz article from Insights, the environmental impact cryptocurrency mining versus consensus. At this point, Ripple is beating up Bitcoin and Ethereum the way I used to watch Mike Tyson beat up on boxers within a minute and 30 seconds. He would get in the ring. If you've never watched what Mike Tyson used to do to a boxer, and these were good boxers, what he would do to them in his prime, he would walk into the ring. People would pay to buy tickets to these boxing matches, thousands of dollars in Vegas or wherever, Atlantic City. They'd go and sit down, and within 30 seconds to a minute 30 seconds, Tyson would not just win, but knock them out cold. I mean, it was the most amazing thing. You ought to go on YouTube and watch that. Well, that's what it feels like Ripple's doing at this point to Bitcoin and Ethereum. We've always known that proof of work does not work. It does not work, and the energy consumption is a joke. Well, listen to this. This is one part of this I wanted to read to you. This is from David Schwartz. The unsustainable mining practices of proof of work mechanism behind Bitcoin and Ethereum are massive barriers for more widespread adoption of cryptocurrencies, but not all blockchains are made equally. For example, For every 1 million transactions, XRP could power 79,000 light bulb hours. In contrast, for every 1 million transactions, Bitcoin could power 4.51 billion light bulb hours. This means that the energy consumption of XRP is 57,000 times more efficient than Bitcoin. How about them apples? Now, in a world that we live in where all we ever hear anyone talk about is climate change and global warming and all these different things, do you think, this is my question, and I asked Sonny Liu this about Ethereum versus VeChain, and this is the common sense basic question that any of you out there that are the CEOs of companies that are considering using any kind of blockchain that is proof of work, are you ready to answer the question when you're asked? And you will be asked, oh yeah, we decided to use Ethereum. We decided to go with proof of work, even though we knew that the energy consumption was going to just smoke the environment. But we as a company just made a decision that we were so in love with proof of work because it was the first thing to come out that we just had to go with it. Not going to happen. You CEOs out there know it's not going to happen. Sonny Liu knew it's not going to happen because he laughed the question off, but he knew. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that proof of work, even these millionaire investors like Mike Novogratz, all of them know that proof of work does not work. They're having to come up with all kinds of marketing terms like digital gold and drop gold and you name it. It's got to be a marketing campaign because it can't be based on what makes sense. And for that reason, I own XRP, the greatest digital asset ever created. Bitcoin is nothing more than a hedge. And you know what the hedge is? And this is the crazy part. What the hedge is that these wealthy people who don't want to get back off of, they've already invested so much in Bitcoin or made so much and they want to make it again. The hedge is that my hedge, if I ever have any Bitcoin, it's going to be that I think that those rich people, because they have so much money, are going to pour so much money into the marketing of it that Bitcoin will survive just long enough for them to get their second lick. And that's about it, folks, because XRP is the one. XRP has always been the one. And everybody knows it that's been spending any time in this space. Now, finally, I'm going to finish this out to remind you, the Ledger Nano S people, they're still running this, they're 20% off the Ledger Nano X. And in the description of all my videos, there's a link. It'll take you there. If you're, I use the Ledger Nano S's. That's the one that I use, but you can get 20% off of this. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that XRP is the one. Thank you for listening.